Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the program from the neighborhood. Bienvenidos, señores. Aquí estamos para hablar todo lo del vecindario y cosas que te pueden ayudar para que estés en tu vecindario. So, how do you stay from the neighborhood? Well, we've got a great show today that's going to talk about skills that you have and you may have forgotten about. You may be saying, what's going on with AI? What's going on with labor? Am I going to have a job tomorrow? Well, there are skills that we've got that we may have even forgotten, but they are of value to someone else. So, señores, tenemos cosas que podemos poner al frente en el mercado y son valiosas para otro, pero no hemos olvidado. So today I'm going to tell you about 21 skills that will make sure you get paid forever. And I got my man right here with music, and he's going to get us going this morning. So make sure to tune in and check out the rest of the show. There's valuable skills, good music, and a whole lot more. I'll be seeing you soon. Let's go.
De regreso con Anthony from the Neighborhood.
So, guys, we got an amazing program here, and this program from the neighborhood is all about breaking down the barriers, getting us to talk to one another. So, when I have a guest here, we're getting an opportunity to see into the life of being from that neighborhood and who they became and how did they get there. And as we know, journeys sometime to the destination isn't always a straight path. So, sometimes we have distractions and detours and other things that get in the way and make us forget where we wanted to basically end up. But what do we do when we are kind of stuck in the middle? And then we have the introduction of all this technology and all the changes globally that affect us. Well, that's what we're covering in this episode, folks. And I hope you like the work we're doing. We'd love for you guys to connect with us. FromTheNeighborhood.com is the way to do it. And there you can go ahead and, put in an application for yourself to be on the show. Or if you're a business, you could even sponsor or advertise and connect with people from the community. And if you're interested in just sporting your neighborhood and representing where you're from, well, we've got some pretty cool merch just like the one I'm wearing right now. And you guys can go ahead and pick up one of those and represent the neighborhood you're from. So there's a lot to cover here, folks. And like I said, we're talking about skills that will get you paid forever. So I'm really happy that you guys are a part of this because there's so many changes that have occurred. And we sit there and we think about, am I still doing something that's of value to the community? That's of value to the workplace? Well, I went ahead and I did a little bit of research because this episode, by the way, it's just me. It's just me and you. If you look here over to my side, I've got no guests sitting here. I'm literally by myself, but I do have a lot of information that I want to share with you guys. And to share this info, I've got my technology here that's going to be the one to help me put this across to you guys, because we all get on the internet. We all start Googling, we all start looking for information, and we start trying to find the answer in our crystal balls that are kind of square, right? These rectangular things we call monitors are where we're getting our answers nowadays. And it might be a small monitor like your phone, something like this, or it might be your laptop or the big screen that's right behind me here with my logo. That might be the one you're looking at. But what we consume essentially makes up who we are, right? So we're adding these as ingredients. And you want to know about skills that can propel you forward. Skills and things that you have the ability to do that maybe another person can't do, or you're naturally gifted to do better. So if you sit back and you think about it, you say, wait a second. There are some things that just come to me naturally. And there are other things I may need to learn. And this may be because of your upbringing. This may be for various other reasons. But if you really think about it, you are sitting in a position right now where it might be of advantage. And you may not even know it. So let's bust out of the scarcity mindset and stop thinking about, am I going to be replaced? And let's start thinking about, what skill do I have that no one else knows because I simply don't talk about it? Now, I'm going to have to reflect on my own situations for a little bit, because there's a lot of stuff that, you do in life and you forget that you actually had the skill. You forget that it's something that helped you survive maybe. And you don't realize that you might have mastered that part of your life. But then when you look back, you're like, there's other people who haven't. And you can actually be some sort of like savior for the folks who are going through a certain situation. So I'll give you a case in point. Let's say, for example, a job application. There's a lot of people that are still in school, probably looking to have the job you already have. But what if they had some sort of mentor? You might say to yourself, wow, I never thought of myself as a mentor, but you're teaching somebody something every day. You might just be helping the next prospective graduate actually land a job. So see yourself as a person that can actually impart and share skills. Now, this comes down to certain fundamentals, and a lot of it has to do with who you're mixing yourself up with to stimulate this sort of thought. So I'm glad for those who are out there and are tuning into this program, you guys are champions, because the first thing that you want to do is get into the space that's about learning. So as I mentioned before, we're all looking into these crystal balls, these rectangular sort of balls, right? Like I mentioned, your phone here, what's on your phone right now is of very much importance, because what you're consuming essentially is helping you either develop something or it's hindering you by just poking at your brain like it's some dead meat. You want to be able to go ahead and start getting some thoughts into your mind that are going to move you forward. So what are some of these thoughts here? Let's talk about it for a little bit. Has anybody ever thought about how someone else feels? And let's think about what other professions actually do this. So you have a therapist who does this for a living. You have consultants. Consultants have to go ahead and figure out what is somebody else's problem that I can solve with the skills and services that I have here. And all we're talking about here, folks, is listening. So imagine if we start getting into the whole thing of skills. Well, there's a very popular thing that says 21 skills that will pay you forever. And I started looking into this, and I've seen this numerous times on the internet. Now, there's some variations to it. They're not all the same, but I've seen it have certain consistencies. And things like listening, speaking properly are skills that will pay you forever. So my point is that I have a show, and I'm here right now speaking to you, and I hope that it's a show that's connecting with you and getting across. But, this is something that people look towards. They look towards having somebody who can speak to them about whatever is going on in the world. So you still have your favorite news channel. You have your favorite shows, your favorite podcasters, your favorite YouTubers. You have all of this because there is information that they impart that you want to seek out. And we're all doing this in numerous amount of ways. I think if you go back to about a year ago, I did an episode about superpowers. And our superpower is communication. The minute we stop communicating and we basically stop speaking to one another, we all stop growing. And this is why all these media channels exist, and social media and every platform that you like to get on, like you right there, man, the ones you're watching, that's why they exist. Because we're connecting with one another and sharing information. That's why this show exists. The entire premise of the show is breaking apart headlines and getting people to connect with one another. So I'm going to go to a quick break right now, but when I come back from this break, we're going to deep dive into the 21 skills that will pay you forever.
De regreso con Anthony from the neighborhood.
All right, so we're back from the break here, and I always throw in a little bit of music because it's always great to kind of get the brain into a little bit of flow, even if it's just for a few seconds. For me, it has a way of sort of embedding itself into your brain, right? So to refresh the conversation, we're talking about skills that will pay you forever. Now, what is this article that I found? And I'm going to just bring it up to the camera real quick because I had to print it out. I actually saw it right here. I had to print it out. I'm going to bring it up to a screen, as a matter of fact. So here we go. This right here is what I saw. 21 skills that will pay you forever. And I can scroll down the screen so you can, look at all of them. But it does no purpose for me to do that if I don't talk about every single one of them. Now, I don't know if I have enough time on this program to cover every single one of these skills, but some of them really stood out to me. And some of them we're doing every single day, but we don't realize that we're actually doing this every day. And we forget. And we think that for some reason, we think that you have to go to some sort of school to learn these skills. So let me show you this once again. where did this come up from? And why is it that it kept popping up for me everywhere else? I must have done some sort of search of some type, but I would happily share with you what I was actually searching so you guys can take a look at. I'm going to jump on my computer here, and I actually said, let me Google this. So when I Googled it, I came up with a big number of results. So here it is. I said 21 skills that will pay you forever. You would think, well, you know what? Anthony found one article. It's only going to appear one time. Well, no, here's what it came up with: 146 million results in less than half a second. So pretty impressive, Google. Way to go. Now, 146 million results on something that I thought was pretty specific. So I said, let me open up a few of these articles and let's see what they say. So I pulled up this one here, and one of the first things was time management. Okay. If I click on another one, empathy. And if I clicked on another one, I've got active listening. So let's see what LinkedIn had to say. So I go to LinkedIn site, the same exact article title: 21 skills that will pay you forever. What do we have? Communication and critical thinking, adaptability, problem solving, digital literacy. All of this stuff pops up. And then I even found blogs that had this: ability to express yourself, ability to manage your time, so on and so forth. But for some reason, I kept getting the number 21. I couldn't figure out why the number 21 was the one. But apparently that's the magic number when it comes to skills. So I'm going to read off a couple of them that I found on that one graphic, the original one I showed you. But if you want to play along, go on your phone or go on your computer and type in 21 skills that will pay you forever. I'm actually kind of interested in checking on this, like in Spanish, right? Like, does this exist in other languages? Could I pull up 21 skills that will pay you forever and see what it is? And as a matter of fact, as you start typing it into Google, and you'll see this here, I'm doing it right here on my screen. As you start typing it into Google, you actually get the population or the filling in of the word automatically. So if I go back and I delete this, this will start filling in automatic. It seems to be a very, very popular type of like blog or article that everybody's seeking after. So let's go into what these 21 skills are. And here they are. So the number one skill that it shows here is the ability to sell and negotiate. Now, let's talk about this for a little while. And I'm looking at it right in front of me here. The ability to sell and negotiate is one which we have to do daily. So you may say, well, I'm not really selling anything, or I don't like sales. I'm not a salesperson. Think about it. You are selling an idea, a flavor of food, right? You're selling probably a product you really like. You're like, hey, man, I love this From the Neighborhood hoodie. Picked it up on the website. You should wear one too. You're making a sale. So we do this because we have relationships with one another. It's not that we're salespeople. And actually, being a salesperson is not a bad thing. Salespeople are one of the most valuable people in any organization. It's what draws in the money and keeps the organization alive. So the ability to sell and negotiate is something that has to be there for anyone or any company. All right. Now let's go over to the next one here. Selling is not convincing. So let's go into the second one here. The second one says the ability to convey what you think and feel. And a lot of what happens in sales is what you think, right? Maybe it's an analytical sale, or what you feel. Think about the things you own. Not all of them are absolutely necessary in life, but it makes you feel a certain way, so you bought it. So even some of the things that are necessary, like nutrition and so forth, well, you say, you know what? I buy this type of food or vegetables or whatever it is because they make me feel a certain way. So again, the ability to convey what you think and feel is part of the sales process. And it's a very important thing because if you can put what you feel, what you're thinking into words, not only is it important for sales, but it's important to gather people and to create movements, to create organizations, to fight for a cause. You have to put that together. So another one here, let's go over to number 3. If you look at number 3 here, it says the ability to break down processes into smaller steps. So if you think about how some of the things work in society, an airplane, It's a very complicated machine if you put it all together as one. But if you break it down into smaller steps, or if you think about building a project or building an event, or even something like having a show like this, there is a lot of things that go into the process. But if you break it down into smaller steps and you essentially win battles, you ultimately win the war. So the ability to break that down into something bite-sized, such as this, 21 skills, this gets it to be super popular on Google searches, but then also super helpful for many people who are out there. So think about that. The ability to break down a process into simple steps. Let's check out another one here. Number 4. And I should listen and learn from myself here because that's what it says. The ability to shut up, listen, and learn from others. That's exactly what it says, folks. I didn't write that out there. That's what it is. That is very, very important. In prior episodes, I have talked about the fact that we actually have 2 ears. If you're watching me online right now on videos, I've got headphones on, left ear, right ear, and I got one microphone. So I have one way to tell you everything that's going on in my mind, but I have multiple ways to absorb what's around me. So there's 2 ears, one to my left and right. I have a nose and a mouth. I have senses throughout all my fingers and other parts of my body, and I can actually take in a lot of information, but how much can I actually put out? I can only speak so much. And it's so much more important to take in all this information, break it down into smaller steps, and convey what you think or feel, because you only have one way to let it out. If you're speaking to somebody, how do you get the right words together to state what's going on in your mind, what you're feeling in your body, and describe a situation? So it's like being at a doctor's office and you're saying to the doctor, "Doctor, I got some sort of problem." You can't just say, "Doctor, I feel sick." You have to start describing what you think it is and what you feel like. And that, unfortunately, we only have one mouth. And obviously the skill of writing is very important, because if you can't speak, then at least you can write it down or type it up as a text message. But you definitely have to find a way to take the information in. Starts with that. All right, let's go over here to the next one here. This is the ability to adapt, improvise, and overcome obstacles. Yeah, this is a very important one because we don't have instruction manuals for everything that's out there. You can't just sit there and say, "You know what? Let me find or Google how this is done." You have to improvise. Find a creative way to overcome an obstacle or a challenge, to problem solve, to troubleshoot whatever's in front of you, because there isn't necessarily going to be a manual for everything. So connecting the dots of, like, say, a prior experience, something you had seen in the past, and putting it together and saying, "Hey, this might be applicable here in this situation right now." That's it. So yeah, it might seem like you're like taping everything together, but at the end of the day, that might be the one that got you out of the jam. So that is another very valuable skill. And then I'm going to leave it with this one here, and I'm actually going to have to scroll down for this so you guys can see, because we're up to number 7. And number 7 right here says the ability to walk away. Now, this is something of a human trait, because I don't think that animals can do this. One maybe is for survival, but we demonstrate our power of choice to walk away, take a situation for whatever it is, and let it go. Say we're simply not interested. We don't want to continue the fight. We don't have to. This ability to walk away, to discard, to no longer consider something that is affecting you, puts you in a whole different space. So with that, folks, I'm going to have to go to a quick break. So I'm going to have to walk away, leave you with some music. We covered the first 7 in this segment here. There's a lot more to cover. I'll be right back. See you soon.
De regreso con Anthony from the neighborhood.
All right, guys, we're back to the program here, and we left off with number 7, which was the ability to walk away. Now, how many times have you been in a situation where you're just like, it's not worth it? That's it. That shows power there to walk away from something. And we can talk about a bunch of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be something negative, but it could be something that's affecting your life in a way that's negative or in a way that's positive, but you simply just don't want any more of it. So the choice, the ability to have a choice, is your superpower. And I mentioned that before. So when we sit down and we think about, do I have any skills right now? If you're a single mother with kids or a single father with kids and you feel like you're trapped, or you just got laid off and you feel like, I knew how to do that job so well, but now I don't know what to do with myself. Well, everything is something we have created, and we created with certain core skills. And maybe choosing to do something else with your life is something you need to do. And that's a core skill, to walk away from something. All right, so let's go over to the next ones here. And I've got number 8. This is the ability to manage time effectively. Very, very important. And I have to say that, we can learn a lot from nature. We have to know how to manage our time. We don't get any more time than whatever was given to us. So we got to make the best of it. So managing your time, or just saying, you know what, I'm going to utilize this time and maximize it. That's what we're talking about there. Because if you say, you know what, I'm going to manage my time, and you might be terrible at managing it, but if you think about maximizing it, you might say, you know what, I'm giving myself 30 minutes to get this done, as if my life depended on it. And you're going to get it done, or you're going to come very close. So let's go over to the next one here. The ability to stay positive and optimistic. Very, very tough in this day and age with all that's happening right now, but you have to try your best. Sometimes we start getting into this realistic mode where, hey, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And you know what? You're probably right. So if it's not going to happen, unless it's something absolute like gravity, you're probably right. It's not going to happen, because your energy is not conducive to the outcome. So your energy's here and the outcome you wish is there, or vice versa. But you're on two different wavelengths. You're not connecting. So how do you expect to meet somebody eye to eye if you're looking in the opposite direction? That's as simply as it comes. It doesn't really go any further than that. Let's go over to the next one here. Ability to make decision based on facts, not based on emotions. Big one right there. Ability to make the decisions on facts. Now, sometimes emotion is very important. Many times, facts are more important. And we're talking about decisions like, do I arrive or take a flight by a certain time in order to get there? You may say, my emotion says, I don't want to wake up early. I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I'm done. But the fact is, if you don't take that early flight, you're not going to get there on time. And whatever it is you were hoping to accomplish, well, it won't be accomplished. So let's go over to another one here. And this here is number 11. I'm going to have to scroll up on this one. I just totally messed up on my screen here. So on number 11 here, we have the ability to speak in front of a large audience. Now, this one here, I coach a lot of people on this, and I always tell people, be forgiving with yourself when you come to speak in front of a large audience. The large audience is, yes, very daunting, very scary. I'm speaking in front of thousands of you right now, and I mess up. I mean, I just did it right now. But be forgiving to yourself and just realize that you are human and they know you're human. And this is what makes it fun. This is what makes speaking in front of a large audience fun. And many times people don't want to go with the paper that has been homogenized and pasteurized and all sorts of processes to come out to what you are. They want to see you come out to see who you are. Not just what you wrote on a piece of paper and maybe went through a bunch of editors. Now, you got to be careful, because sometimes this rawness can come up a little wrong, and we can all think of certain people that have rubbed us the wrong way in what they've said, and they have maybe they were geniuses, but unfortunately, they came across incorrectly. So, be forgiving with yourself, but not so much so that you feel like you can do whatever you want. Just don't let the whole point of speaking in front of a large audience ever intimidate you. They showed up because they want to meet you. So give them what they came for. Let's go over to the next one here. We have the ability to keep trying even after failure. So this is huge, guys, because a lot of times we give up way too early. We give up way too soon. And, sometimes the challenging part of it is getting back up. But when you give up, you start to create reasons that justify you giving up. So I'll give you an example. Challenges to get started. Great. You get started. You fail. And then when you fail, the challenge now is getting back up. But when you failed, you gave yourself reasons why you failed. And when you start kind of enrolling or subscribing to those reasons, by the way, you should subscribe to this, not those reasons, you start to believe them as facts. And then you start realizing that, if I could have, if I should have, and this, if that didn't happen, the other. And let's take it as a game in baseball. The ground's wet, you slip, you miss the ball. Great. Does that mean every day the ground's wet? And every day you're going to slip and miss the ball? No. But if you subscribe to that, believe it or not, you'll find the ground to be wet, even on the most driest days of the year. So get that out of your head, folks, because that will block you. Let's go over to the next one here. Ability to invest money on your own. So we're all working, but what are we doing with our money? Oh, that part is up to us. So you have to have the self-discipline to say to yourself what you want to do with your money and invest it. So remember, we have to work with money as a trade item. We're not trading animals or plants. We're working with money for the most part as our trade item. So learning how to invest it, learning how to work with it is number one. And then number 14 here, before we go on a quick break here, this is here, the ability to do things irrespective of the situation. It's right here on the board. Irrespective of the situation basically means like doing the right thing. Doing the right thing where someone's not looking. You've heard that one before. And this is basically like, regardless of whatever the situation is, do it. So sometimes there's things against you. The clock is against you, but you must get in this homework assignment and do it. You want to get it perfect. It's okay. Just do it despite the situation, despite the fact that something's missing, the cover page, whatever it is, the design work. Submit what you've got. Like, try to do what you're doing despite the situation. It's not always going to be the most ideal work environment or the most ideal setup, but if you apply yourself, you'll get it done. And just with that, folks, we've got to get done our break. So we'll be right back after this, folks. And I'll be here to teach you more lessons because we are up to number 14 and we got 7 more to go. Let's do it.
De regreso con Anthony from the neighborhood.
All right, folks, we're back from the break here, and we've got a lot of things we've covered so far. We've covered 14 of the 21 skills that will pay you forever. And I've got number 15 here, ability to self-analyze. So self-analysis and looking at who you are in the situation is very, very important. You can't count yourself out. So self-analyze. Number 16 is the ability to learn how to learn. So when I was a kid, I had an ability to learn with music. So for some reason, I had to do my homework with music playing in the background. Now, I'm not the best at memorizing song titles or artists who sung the songs. That has always been a challenge. But to learn what I had in front of me because the music was playing, that was a lot of fun. And that made it super easy for me. So learn how to learn. Figure out your style. Again, self-analysis. That's a part of it there. So let's go over to number 17 is the ability to understand what others feel. Yeah, that's right here, number 17. I want to put it up on the board. The ability to understand how others feel is going back to basically number 4. If you guys haven't listened to number 4, that's the ability to shut up and learn from others. Listen and learn. And I was talking about the inputs of your body. And this here, understanding how other feels, is not just hearing it, but taking it in and really absorbing what's going on, because that is what they call reading the room. So let's think about that when you are in a situation. Then you have the ability to remain consistent. That is number 18. The ability to remain consistent might seem like disciplined. And yes, that is a form of discipline. But staying consistent also means in terms of who you are. So you start to establish a sort of brand identity for who you are, and you must remain consistent to it. And it's okay to switch careers and so forth. But if you remain consistently as a person that can be relied upon, that follows you. If your skills are like the skills I've mentioned, that follows you. And believe it or not, more people are hired based on how much they're liked and how well they communicate than for their technical skills. Technical skills you can learn. When I hired people, I would always hire them based on their enthusiasm more so than how knowledgeable they were. Now, yes, that cost me a lot in training, but when the person's enthusiastic, number one, they're ready to learn. So a lot of other skills are coming along with it. So think about that. Being consistent is very, very important. And here is the ability to master your thoughts. So again, going back to some of the ones we talked about before, emotions based on facts, not emotions, and so forth. These are all part of your thoughts. So think about what you are thinking about, right? You want to think about the right things. You want to master your thoughts. And if you move on to the next one, is the ability to write the words to persuade and influence others. And this is going back to number 2, which was the ability to convey what you think and feel. So the ability to convey it, whether it's written form or verbal form, extremely important. Again, guys, I keep talking about communication and how most of the reason why you are employed or sought after in your business is because of your ability to convey things. Okay. So this is very, very important. Number 21, this one here is for all my people out there who think they have it under control. And I myself will put myself in that situation. Ability to ask for help. Asking for help is probably the most challenging thing to do. Why? Because it requires a lot of skills that we talked about. It requires a skill for you to self-analyze, to see where your faults are, where you fall short. It requires you to maybe even invest some money if you got to pay for a mentor or pay for a course. It requires you to stay positive, not beat yourself up about something because you can't get it done. So many things require you, are required of you to have the ability to ask for help. But it's very, very important. Do not forget to ask for help. I think there's nothing wrong with it, even though I find it challenging myself. So I put myself in your shoes. Sometimes you don't know when you need the help. But if you can convey your thoughts, the other person might have the ability to listen. And guess what? There might be a way where they can have you think positively where you don't, or help you manage your time, or help you stay consistent. And boom, there it is. And that is why no human is of an island to themselves. And that's why I've created this program called From the Neighborhood, so we can all connect to one another and we can all be in touch with one another, because I have felt that some of these skills have been taken for granted and forgotten. And many a times we are basically going by the sensation of the headlines in the news to characterize people in a way which is not just. It's not fair. It is inappropriate. I think that we all can make mistakes and we can have our differences with one another, and you don't have to like everybody you meet. But at the end of the day, we have to do less to divide and more to unify. And a show like From the Neighborhood, what we're doing here is doing just that. So with that, folks, I invite you guys once again to be a part of this program in any way, shape, or form, whether you're a sponsor, picking up any of the swagger, or simply a guest on the program telling me your story, hopefully to inspire others to see value in themselves and connect with their community, because that's what we're all about. Folks, that's the show for today. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And until next time, I'll be seeing you back in the neighborhood.